Welcome to ETN Community Spotlight, where we shine the light on a local nonprofit organization. I'm Derek Silas. Join me as we talk to today's special guest. According to the National Child Traumatic Stress Network, it was reported that in federal fiscal year 2014, 646,261 children were victims of child abuse or neglect, with 1,580 of them dying because of it within the 50 states, DC, and Puerto Rico. The beauty about your organization is that it advocates for children and it strives to create an awareness to prevent child abuse. Now, Garfield County Child Advocacy Council. Tell me about how this council got started here in Enid and more about its mission and purpose.
Well, I was fortunate enough in 1997 to be working at a planning agency, and the late Senator Robert Malachek called and asked whether or not we thought we needed a place in Enid where kids could be interviewed comfortably, you know, rather than a police station or DHS. And my boss said he thought that was a good idea. And he said, and Carol, you can be staff to that committee. And I got to be staff to the committee and got to help develop the whole organization from the ground up. And I got to do a lot of other development and planning in my career here in Enid, but this has been one of the easiest projects I ever had, because we wanted 4 people to help. Senator thought maybe 4 or 5 people would come to a meeting. 25 came. And in 2 months, we had articles of incorporation and a board of directors, and it's been straight ahead ever since. We have right now 28 people on our board. It's an interesting board in that part of the people are appointed by their respective agencies, and those would be our partners, and the rest of the people on the board are elected by the board of directors. So everybody that's on it, though, wants to deal with children's issues.
Okay. Now, as executive director of the council, what is your day-to-day role and responsibility, and what challenges or successes do you have in advocating for children within our community?
Well, my day-to-day responsibilities can change from minute to minute, but in theory, I'm basically the person that looks for funding. I'm the person that manages the funding we get. I also hire the employees, supervise. But then I get an extra little piece put in because we're a very small staff and we have a big job. So sometimes I even get to do direct services to families as a victim advocate. Challenges? Oh, of course, funding is always our biggest challenge. But I think for me personally, the challenge is always keeping the standard of the agency high in terms of I want my staff to respect everybody that walks through that door. At the end of our victim advocate sessions, we ask the family to take a survey. It's on a computer. We never see their answers. But to tell how they thought we did in our services. And they can write comments and things like that. At the end of a year, this company sends us back the comments and how many people answered and all that. And what I look for is that the families we served say we respected them, that they felt like they were comfortable there, that we liked them, that we wanted to be there, we wanted them to be there. That's my biggest goal and challenge. I mean, of course, to keep the doors open, to keep the funding coming in is also a challenge. Successes, I think we've been pretty successful at that too. I think we've also been successful at raising awareness of child abuse in the community. That's not a subject a whole lot of communities want to be real proud of, to say, oh, look, we had 322 children last year confirmed abused. And we're not proud of that. But what we are proud of is that we think that's 322 children that maybe can get some help. It's when child abuse isn't reported that children die. And that's something we don't want at all.
Okay. Now, I know the organization participates, it does a lot for children. So what types of annual events does the organization have in advocating for children?
Oh, annually for our own organization, we do our Forget Me Not Luncheon. It's named that just because we don't want anyone to forget about children and this issue of abuse and neglect. And then our Wooden Children Project, and that's related also to the number of kids that are abused and neglected. Both happen in April. That's Child Abuse Awareness Month. Throughout the year, we may do other things, but those are our two biggest things. Our Forget Me Not Luncheon, the revenue from that goes to our endowment fund, and the Wooden Children Project basically supports the Wooden Children Project.
Okay. Now, what other ways can the community get involved in what you all are doing, whether it be a person, a business, or organization?
Okay. To better answer that question, I need to explain some of the other things that we do.
Okay.
This victim advocate role that I talked about, we only have 2 staff that can do that, but we will train specially selected and screened volunteers to be victim advocates for both the families and for the children, because when a family enters our door, people greet them at the door. That one advocate stays with that child throughout the entire time they're in the house. And that's an interesting thing to watch, too, to see a child that has one adult that's theirs, but they're in charge. They get to say which games we play and all that. So, and the other volunteer then, or the other victim advocate, works with the families, because in most of our abuse situations, the families are just as anxious as the child is, and in some cases more so. So there's an opportunity to volunteer. We'll train you. You get to choose your own hours. We'll call you when we need you. And the other volunteer opportunity requires more training and probably a bigger time commitment, but that's the Court-Appointed Special Advocates Program, or CASAs. That requires 40 hours of training, and you may be assigned to one case for 2 or 3 years. You can use either of those kinds of opportunities to volunteer, or if you're so inclined, you can bring us a case of water, bottled water. Little kids and their families, when they come, sure like water. Little kids like little juice boxes. You know, just simple things like that. Individual little bags of Teddy Grahams, cookies, anything like that, because kids are offered snacks when they come also. Up to more practical things like a ream of paper. It takes a lot to keep an agency like ours going, and we're all grant funded, so we're always looking for even small things that will help us. One church group makes us blankets, little quilts, little individual quilts. A lot of the times when the children are removed from their homes, they don't have much to bring with them. So that means they don't have much that belongs to them. But we can hand them one of these little blankets and it's theirs. I had a grandchild that carried around the same blanket for forever, and these little kids are no different. They like to have something that's theirs. We also have the SANE program, Sexual Abuse Nurse Examiner program. That's another place where we give these blankets to the kids who have an exam. The victim advocates then can also be advocates for those children during those exams. But again, require special training and, more importantly, special screening. Every volunteer that we have, whether it's a board member or anyone that touches the kids directly, have OSBI screenings, a couple different child abuse registry screenings, plus personal interviews with the staff. We don't want anyone to get into our organization that doesn't have the best interests of kids in mind.
Okay. What impact do you feel this organization has had on our Indian community?
Oh, dear. I think, for one, it has heightened the awareness of child abuse. I'd like to believe also that within the families that we've served, we now have people that are comfortable or would be comfortable in dealing with a subject or an event, an experience in their life that they wouldn't say was pleasant, but that was maybe a little more tolerable because of us. I think those would probably, I'd look at as our best achievements.
Okay. If someone wants to contribute or contact the organization, what's the best way they can do that?
They can call us at 580-242-1153, or they can go to our website at the Garfield County Care Campus. There are applications on that site to be a volunteer. There are also some interesting videos at that site about the organization and about some people that are special CASA volunteers. And I think they might be surprised at who some of these people are.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.